Hello, everyone. Welcome tonight. We're excited to have you at our March Talk Music Webinar. Tonight, we are, as you can see, Larry Carter is with us, and it's so exciting to have him
Honored
talk
to
with
be here, Brother Hoffy.
us. Well, we're so glad you're here, and there's different ones that are joining as we speak, so we're kind of stalling just a few minutes here as people kind of join in with us tonight. But Brother Larry's going to be talking about a great topic tonight, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say. And that's talking about song performing or performance, just kind of that balance of selling your song and the performance and the ministry side. And of course, he's traveled for many years and sang and played and just across the country. And I'm excited to hear what he has to say. So, if this is your first webinar with us, make sure that you, on your right hand side there on the control panel, just make sure that you, on the chat feature, on the questions feature, just type your questions in anytime. You don't have to wait till the end when he's done. We will have some questions at the end if you have any. But if you think of something, just go ahead and jot it down there. I'll be chatting with you during while he's talking, and no one will see those but myself. And then at the end, we'll try to get some answers for you and have you talk with Brother Larry and ask your questions. So anyway, I want to go ahead and get started, get out of the way myself, and let him take over and kind of give us his thoughts tonight on, I don't want to title it, but basically on song performance and selling the song as we are ministers out there. So, Brother Larry, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you, Brother Jeremy. It's sure an
Yep.
honor to be here. And yeah, I want to talk for a little while this evening on balancing your music and your ministry from a professional level and a spiritual level. Uh, Music is incredibly important to us. It's in biblically, music was used for celebration, it was used for a time of, even at mourning. Jesus' disciples sang a song before he was crucified in the upper room. And there's so many examples of music being used in the Bible. As a matter of fact, approximately 1/10 of the Bible is Psalms, which are songs that David, a lot of them, most of them David wrote. So it's incredibly important. It's all the way through the Bible. So translating to today, songs are so important. As a matter of fact, I after 10 years away from God, I went to the altar during a song, a special song that was being sung. So that's how powerful songs can be. And the Bible says, speaking to one another with songs and hymns. So I kind of want to zero in on the word speaking, uh, which basically means a voice expressing yourself, a language. And so one of the things that bothers me, some places that I go, when I see someone singing and playing an instrument, which is predominantly what I'm going to deal with, whether it be a piano or a guitar. Obviously, you can't play a saxophone and sing at the same time. But yeah, is people that are singing and playing a piano and they're looking down all the time, and that really bothers me because typically when they do that, first of all they lose volume, and I feel like they're being distracted from the song because ultimately everything's about the song. The Bible, we see lyrics, but when they see the word Selah, which was instrumental, we don't hear that. It was just times that he played, and I'm sure it was important, but not as important as the words, because there's no musical transcription in the Bible. It's lyrics, and so I think that's one of the things that I want to deal with is the balance of singing while playing. I've been thinking this over, and on a personal note, obviously I play while I sing. Uh, I've got to sell that song, so I probably look at about an 80-20 ratio, where I'm going to be more focused on my singing than I am my playing. Um, And it sounds easier than it is because obviously when you're doing both, they both have to be at this level of competency that that you're comfortable enough to do both. And so, staying in the mic, engaging people, make sure that you said, I'm not the greatest singer. I've been accused of being one, but there was never enough evidence to convict me. But I think there's been people that were very incredibly successful that wouldn't be considered great vocalists, but they knew how to express a song, and they knew how to, and I think that came from them being able to feel the song and get to know the song and live the song. And then once they believe it, once they live it. Just a quick example. Several years ago, I was at a men's conference, and Tim Spell got up at the men's conference and he sang a song called I Won't Have to Face the Storm Alone. Well, I had written this song, but until I heard him sing it, I didn't really appreciate the song until I really heard him sing it. And I said, wow, he expressed that song in such a powerful way. It gave me new life to that song, and I started picking the song back up and singing it again because it ministered to me the way that he sang it, which is may sound convoluted, but so the vocals must be preeminent. That's just, there's no way around that. So I just want to give you a few little pointers. First of all, in order to play and sing, I think successfully, you have to learn the song on the instrument. You need to learn it to the point to where you're comfortable enough with it. One of the things I've done over the years is I'll sit and be working on a song, maybe just playing the chords, a song that I'm going to sing, and I'll think about something else, or I'll talk to someone while I'm playing the song, until it becomes more of a second nature to you. This obviously, it really does work because you can start to get comfortable enough with it where you just have this built-in knowledge of that song. And so talk to someone and talk to yourself if you have to. Just something else. It's a little distracting, but so is singing and playing sometimes. When your phrasing can be different than the rhythm of the song. And then I think, secondly, you need to learn the song vocally. You need to learn the dynamics of it. You need to work on your phrasing and learn where to build, learn where to pull back, learn the dynamics of the song. I don't use lyrics. I probably have 100 soundtracks. I probably rotate about 25 or 30 songs typically, but it's one of the things I've never did is used lyrics. And it's probably easier for me because I do a lot of the same songs over and over, where if you're in a music department, you're learning new songs all the time, and you may not be able to learn every song by memory, but if you sit down and write the song out by hand, even though you have a lead sheet, sit down and write it out, because that basically helps you. Anything that you write out kind of improves your memory on that song and kind of lets you become more familiar with it, and I think it makes it easier to absorb it and learn it. Another thing I can recommend is to record yourself. Just turn on your iPhone, whatever you've got that can record, and sing and play a little. Listen back to it and just kind of, am I projecting well? Is my voice projecting well? Am I expressing this song like it needs to be expressed? And then next, I would recommend practicing when you're learning a new song, singing and playing, practicing with a metronome. You can download one on your iPhone, iPad, or whatever. Tap out a tempo and then let it click a time beat for you. Because what happens if you're not really familiar with lyrics or the song, one will tend to follow the other, or the voice or the guitar, and they'll start fighting one another if you're unsure on tempo wise. So that keeps you incredibly honest on tempo. I think if something has to go for a little bit, let the instrument go for a little while. So that's how important I think it is. Pick it back up, but don't pull away from the mic and look down and get distracted, because you've got a lot of people out there that are trying to hear what you're saying, and if you can make them believe that song, it's like you believe it. It's incredibly important. Last but not least, on the last couple of points I want to make is play simple. I do play solos as well and instrumentals, and that's the times that I step on out. But when I'm singing, I'm playing simple. The spots between my phrases is where I'll do little guitar licks, and then I'm back to chords, pretty much chords, because I think it really helps the song. And not only that, I think you learn to do this. You learn to play simple. I think it helps you also when you're playing with other people. Start thinking about, I don't need to be doing too many counter melodies while they're singing. So you can back off and you find your little spots in between phrases. That helps simplify it. You try to keep it as simple as you can. I take breaks, and I know I use tracks and I'm playing my guitar, but there's times that, okay, I'm getting ready to go into the second verse. I'm really feeling the anointing on that song. I'll take both of my hands off the guitar, take the mic off the stand, walk to the edge of the platform. It's not theatrics. It's, you know what, I really need to express this right now. And so I let the instrument go for a little while. And I think there's times that it can be incredibly effective, because you're basically saying, listen, I'm giving myself to this song right now and to what I feel in the spirit. And I want you to hear what I've got to say. And so I think that's another thing that you can do once in a while. Well, don't do it for theatrical purposes, but I think it's a good thing. And I think most of all, we have to get to know a song. We have to feel the song, and we have to. I don't want to use this in a salesman context, but we have to sell. We have to sell the song. The scripture says He puts a new song in my mouth, and it talks about we'll praise God with our song, and then it says many will come to see Him and trust Him. Why? Because we were able to convey our song. There's been times when I had another song I wanted to do, or I had another direction I was going to go, and because I felt like, you know what, I need to sing this song again, or I need to not worry about the performance side of it right now. I need to express this, and put the guitar down, sing. I've done that many times because I just felt it was the right thing to do, because there's such a plethora of people out there, and so many different needs and so many different things that people need, and you could be the catalyst to their lives being changed, because the Bible said many will see the Lord and trust in Him when we sing a song and we sing a praise to God. So basically, I think the most important thing is the song, expressing it, vocalizing it, believing it, and and minister with it. And the Lord can do awesome things when people know that we're really sincere and we believe what we're singing. That's very powerful.
Excellent. Thank you, Brother Larry.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
I just enjoy hearing you speak because I know that it comes from a lot of experience, and there's nothing like experience. So there's nothing like experience that will help you in this area. And we've had some people that are just joining, even as the last few minutes here, and some questions are coming in. I wanted to ask a couple of things myself, just
Sure.
to kind of get the questions rolling. And those of you that are watching, now's the time. Go ahead and type in your questions if you have something you want to ask Brother Larry, and I'll put you on with him. The one thing I was curious about, just to get your thoughts on this, is
Yes, sir.
what do you think about people that watch other performers and singers and emulate them or their style, or what are your thoughts on that type of thing?
I have so many people that come to me. It's funny, over the years, and they'll say, "You remind me of," and they'll mention a secular guitar player. Or they'll mention a guitar, and it's sometimes it's people that I have never really heard that
Hmm.
they compare me to. I think overall, as musicians, we're incredibly sensitive, uh, and we hear just in passing, we hear licks, we hear phrases, we hear tones, and so what we are is somewhat of a culmination sometimes of things we've expressed through the years. In terms of all out emulation, I probably have a little more problem with that. I think ultimately you want to find your own voice. I think obviously, I spent 10 years playing clubs, and there's things that I learned back then through that era of time that I obviously use now. And I don't see any problem with that because I think, you know, uh, music is very universal. It's just used a lot of times for the wrong reason. Uh, Emulations are, obviously, when you hear a singer that's just really great and you want to pattern yourself after that person, I think you can swing a little too far probably if you try to sound just like them in
Yeah,
both the singing or musically.
yeah. I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's bad to say, oh, I like how they did this. I like how
Sure,
they did that. But I also think I find a lot of people try to be something they're not, and I think that's a problem typically.
sure,
Just because I think the Lord wants us to be who we are. I think
sure,
I struggled with that for a while. Is just I'm not like so and so. I don't do it like they do. I'm not as eloquent as them or whatever that is. But I feel like God says, hey, I need you to be you though, because only you can be you. So I think that's a great point you're making. Is don't do too much of this emulation.
sure. And I think there's such a obviously there's things that will come through in our music and our vocals because of things that we've
Hmm.
heard. And I think it's like to me it's like if you were painting a picture, it's another it's another color
Hmm.
that we can add once we learn little things, but altogether it becomes an original. And obviously
Absolutely.
that's what we have to be.
I had another question.
Yes, sir.
What do you? I mean, you mentioned it a little bit, but can you talk a little bit about confidence versus that walking that tightrope of because to me to sell a song or to that song presentation there has to be a lot of confidence going on because if not people can read that people get very uncomfortable when someone's not confident, at least I think so. You could speak to
Sure.
that. Or if you know how it is if we see somebody on the stage and we're like we know they're as nervous as all get out, we become kind of a little bit nervous for them and it's just not a great experience. So how do you how do you how do you walk that tightrope of being confident but not arrogant?
Not arrogant, yes. It's
Yeah.
it's funny. I different crowds. It's funny. Larger crowds don't intimidate me as much as probably really small crowds.
Yeah.
Uh, for some reason, and sometimes I find myself playing an instrumental the first song in order to kind of break the ice, if you will. I think there is a fine line between being confident and being arrogant, and I've had people that actually it bothered me. I had someone come up to me and said, "When I first heard you years ago with the McGregors, I thought you were cocky or arrogant or whatever," and it floored me because I never want to come across that way. And so I'm very cognizant of that, and I pray every time. I say, God, obviously God's given us, great abilities, and people are awed by music, but I think it's so important to maintain that confident, humble confidence, if you will. At the same time, being able to use what the Lord has given you and use it to the best of your ability. And I think people can sense. Real. I think they can sense real, and they can sense show. When you get up there in your show, I think they can sense that. And I just always try to say, God, let me just express without coming across as anything, but just being a conduit for what you want me to be.
It is tricky because, like I was just saying, I think it needs to be confident. I think you need to know your stuff well.
Sure. Oh, yes.
I think people will follow you as you lead them if you're confident and you know where you're going.
Sure.
But so it is. I think that's where people get tripped up, though, is they get so confident in themselves that sometimes it's like the spiritual side is left out, and that's what you're saying is just, man, Lord, help me to make sure I stay humble through this process.
And sometimes when we're encouraging people to worship, and we remind ourselves, I've got to worship too.
Absolutely.
I've got to be at the forefront. I'm leading you into vertical worship. So it's all about Him.
I think I don't see a ton of questions, so people are probably just listening and not as much in question mode. But I have one more, and then if we don't have any, we'll go ahead and end it tonight. But I know this is kind of a pretty broad question, pretty general, but what advice would you give to, say, an up-and-comer, someone that's getting into singing, or an artist that's kind of coming up in the church and singing out or playing, and what's something just that you'd say, if someone would have told me this when I was younger, I would have really appreciated this, or what advice would you give to someone that's kind of up-and-comer?
Wow.
When it comes to song, presentation and things of that nature.
Yes. Obviously practice. a lot of practice. Get familiar with your songs, and find places, find avenues that you can get familiar with public presentation, whether it's volunteer, go to rest homes, sing and get comfortable. I just think it is a growing and a learning process to do them both very well and get really expressive with it. But I think practice is the most important thing that I would say that you need to do. And like I said earlier, you don't have to be an incredible vocalist. It obviously helps, but people can take. I think if you can, it's funny. There's people that I think that consider me probably a much better guitar player than I am singer, which is fair enough. However, at the end of the night, when people come to my CD table and they want to buy a CD, 90% of the time, I want that song you sang. I want that song you sang. And so I've learned over the years, if I was just a guitarist and I just remained a guitarist, I felt that my ministry would have probably not risen to the level that it's at in terms of me being able to do this as many years as I've had. But writing and singing, and although I'm not a strong singer, I'm a little bit backwards introverted, But when God gave me these songs, I said, you know what, He gave them to me for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I learned to be expressive with them. And I think it added a dimension that probably in some ways overshadowed the guitar. It leveled them out a little bit more because people used to just know me as a guitar player. And obviously that's changed. It's because that I've started. And in writing, I think if you can write, it's always a positive thing as well. Because that's much more personal than taking another song
Yeah.
when you write one.
That's for sure. I
Yeah,
love what you, and we'll wrap it up with this, but I love what you said about the 80-20. I think that was pretty enlightening, probably to me, is your reference to that 80-20 rule. I think that's pretty wild when I think about that, the importance, factor. That's pretty cool. So you would say
sure.
80% is probably more on the singing side and 20% on the playing
Sure.
side.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can almost spot someone that's, even 50-50. It's a little, you're going to pull part of their song, part of it that you're not, and you're going to, I feel a little disconnected when I'm watching someone that's at that ratio to me. I don't sit and analyze everybody, but I do notice if it's out of balance.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd rather hear someone play, you know, triads and sing me a good song
Yeah.
than hear, monster chops and not being able to hear what
Hmm.
they're singing and not get
Yeah.
the song.
Yeah.
So,
That
because
lyric.
I think the music is kind of the wind that beneath the wings of the vocals that
Mm-hmm.
lets the vocals soar.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
lyric that lyrical content is so important. It's being
Oh, incredible.
sung into those hearts
And
big
I've
time.
had to learn that myself, over the years, and I've seen it shift for me. I used to do a lot of instrumental stuff, and I've shifted a little more to
Yeah.
vocals.
Well, I just want to say publicly, I thank you and really appreciate you what you stand for and what you have stood for because you you've been out there and seen a lot of things and played a lot of places and could have went a lot of places and you've stayed in the truth and I appreciate that personally
Thank you,
and
brother.
it means a lot and it shows a lot of us that man this is what it's about and the Lord is really and I don't want to say this too much but I mean the Lord has really blessed you and I think that he will do that for all of us if we'll stay true to Him,
Yes, he will.
and He's blessing us with abilities and talents. But
Yes,
using them for the Lord is an amazing thing.
it really is. Yes, it is.
It's an honor. So, and
Oh,
it's an honor. To,
and 80-20 comes out to 100% ministry.
there you go. I like
So
that.
it's 100% ministry.
I like that a lot. Well, we're going to end on that tonight, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed having Brother Larry Carter
Thanks,
involved
y'all.
tonight. And speaking to us. I sure have enjoyed having him, and we look forward to seeing you guys next month. We'll do it. We'll be announcing, of course, our next webinar in April, and we'll get our guest artist out there, our guest speaker, and make sure everybody knows about it. And we are so glad to be doing these. I hope you're enjoying them. Tell your friends, tell everybody that's involved in UPCI Music to log in and every month kind of enjoy hearing from a different guest. And so until next month, we'll see you guys later. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you, see you, brother.
See you, brother.